call this meeting to order. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As some of you might have realized, we have Councilor Cano on the phone, so we do have the full council here present. Councilor Cano telephonically. First item on the agenda is actually public input. We have two people signed up. Because we have Councilor Cano on the phone, we have the podium up here. So we'll start with Alan Mong in regards to plastic bags.
Good evening, Mayor. Oops, I forgot. Good evening, Mayor, Town Council. I'm Alan Long, Silver City citizen. Over the last 4 months, around town, and I shop at all the stores. I've been to Walmart, both Family Dollars, the new Dollar Tree, Dollar General, Snappy Marts, Food Baskets, Albertsons, Co-op, everything. I have noticed, other than Albertsons and the Co-op, hardly anybody ever brings a plastic bag. And I have actually been to a couple houses of some elderly people I know, and they went to get something and opened the cupboard, and here were like 50 of the big green plastic bags. And I said, why don't you have cloth bags? Oh, I forget them. I've asked people in line at stores, it's like, do you not? Yeah, I have them, but I always forget them, or I don't want to bring them. Another comment I got once at Dollar Tree was, oh, they're going to give me a nice paper bag anyway. Well, those paper bags are pretty nice. The ones at Albertsons are pretty nice, and those thick ones at Food Basket are pretty nice. Not that they're going to blow around, but they're going to start to pile up. And I know this is not your responsibility or authority to impose some kind of fee. But if you ever, or anybody asks you about it, I really think business owners ought to think about a 5-cent fee every time they give out a bag. Because it does, like the one gentleman that came that one day, it does cut into the profits. And it just amazes me, that people know about it, but they just don't bring them. Now, there may be other times when they do, but I have not seen it, and I've been to a lot of stores. So I just wanted to pass that on, because it was kind of disappointing. The really only one, what you see a lot is the Co-op, and a lot of people bring their cloth bags to Albertsons, but other than that, they just get a new bag every time. So, thank you for listening.
Thank you. Next is Rick Fox on the AMR water meters.
Thank you, Mayor Moronis. On Tuesday, January 5th, and Monday, January 11th, 2016, respectively, 621 petition signatures garnered demanding elected Silver City town government officials immediately cease installation of AMR, automatic meter reader, water meters from any previously installed water meters, and replace them with previously existing safe analog water meters. Were submitted and served upon and signed by Mayor Michael Moronis on behalf of Silver City town government, and 29 in possession, not yet submitted, equals 650 petitions, plus an estimated 300 to 350 having been or to be submitted imminently by an estimated 950 to 1,000 signatures to date, and respectively submitted a notice of no consent to trespass and surveillance, notice of liability, text to follow. From from Rick Fox, 206 West 6th Street, Silver City, New Mexico, 88061. To utility name, Town of Silver City, New Mexico government, and all others, see attachment, addendum, / adhesion contract, including but not limited to P&M, Albuquerque, New Mexico, and New Mexico Gas, Albuquerque, New Mexico PRC, Public Regulatory Regulation Commission, date of service January 11, 2016. PRC, Santa Fe, New Mexico. Date of service rendered to Mayor Michael Morones on behalf of Town of Silver City Government, Silver City, New Mexico Government, 101 West Broadway, Silver City, New Mexico, City Hall, 88061. P.O. Box 1188, Silver City, New Mexico, 88062. Addendum / attachment / adhesion contract drafted December 9, 2015 and ongoing to date and beyond as modifications deemed necessary. All rights reserved without prejudice, UCC 1-207. Notice of no consent to trespass and surveillance. Notice of liability. Dear utility agents, officers, employees, contractors, and interested parties, if you intend to install a smart meter or any activity monitoring device at the above address, you and all other parties are hereby denied consent for installation and use of all such devices on the above property. Installation and use of any activity monitoring device is hereby refused and prohibited. Informed consent is legally required for installation of any surveillance device and any device that will collect and transmit private and personal data to undisclosed and unauthorized parties for undisclosed and unauthorized purposes. Authorization for sharing of personal and private information may only be given by the originator and subject to that information. That authorization is hereby denied and refused with regard to the above property and all its occupants. Smart meters violate the law and cause endangerment to residents by the following factors. 1, they individually identify electrical devices inside the home and record when they are operated, causing invasion of privacy. 2, they monitor household activity and occupancy in violation of rights and domestic security. 3, they transmit wireless signals which may be intercepted by unauthorized and unknown parties. Those signals can be used to monitor behavior and occupancy, and they can be used by criminals to weigh criminal activity against the occupants. 4, data about occupants' daily habits and activities are collected, recorded, and stored in permanent databases, which are accessed by parties not authorized to or invited to know and share that private data by those whose activities were recorded. 5, those with access to the smart meter databases can review a permanent history of household activities, complete with calendar and time of day metrics to gain a highly invasive and detailed view of the lives of the occupants. 6, those databases may be shared with or fall into the hands of criminals, blackmailers, corrupt law enforcement, private hackers of wireless transmissions, power company employees, and other unidentified parties who may act against the interest of the occupants under metered surveillance. 7, smart meters are by definition surveillance devices which violate federal and state wiretapping laws by recording and storing databases of private and personal activities and behaviors without the consent or knowledge of those people who are monitored. 8, it is possible, for example, with analysis of certain smart meter data for unauthorized and distant parties to determine medical conditions, sexual activities, physical locations of persons within the home, vacancy patterns, and personal information and habits of the occupants. 9, your company has not adequately disclosed the particular recording and transmission capabilities of the smart meter, or the extent of the data that will be recorded, stored, and shared, or the purposes for which the data will and will not be put. 10, electromagnetic and radio frequency radiation from smart meters has been classified by the World Health Organization in May of 2011 as a Class 2B carcinogen. It can even exceed the inadequate FCC safety standards, which do not take into account the health effects from non-thermal radiation emitted from wireless devices, such as smart meters, and are based on acute heat exposure only. I forbid, refuse, and deny consent of any installation and use of any monitoring, eavesdropping, and surveillance devices on my property, my place of residence, and my place of occupancy. That applies to and includes smart meters and activity monitoring devices of any and all kinds. Any attempt to install any such device directed at me, other occupants, my property or residence, will constitute trespass, stalking, wiretapping, and unlawful surveillance and endangerment of health and safety, all prohibited and punishable by law through criminal and civil complaints. All persons, government agencies, and private organizations responsible for installing or operating monitoring devices directed at or recording my activities, which I am not specifically authorized in writing, will be fully liable for any violations, intrusions, harm, or negative consequences caused by or made possible by those devices, whether those negative consequences are justified by law, quote unquote, or not. This is a legal notice. After this delivery, the liabilities listed above may not be denied or avoided by parties named and implied in this notice. Civil servant immunities and protections do not apply to the installation.
We exceeded by a few minutes.
I'm on the last sentence.
I exceeded it by several minutes. Thank you.
Okay.
And I did let you get through the bulk of that notice.
Okay.
Thank you.
Your Honor.
Wow.
Next item on the agenda, next item is council comments. I'll start with Councilor Kano.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to wish everyone a Happy New Year. I'm excited to see what 2015 will bring to town. I also wanted to address something that happened this past week. An organization in town, namely the Gospel Mission, received some emails. The emails were very disturbing, and they were attributed to some of our council. Actually, I think the entire council had some that were sent in their name. And I just wanted to address the fact that that was not an issue with our city emails, but the fact that the Gospel Mission has an unsecured website that allows you to put in anyone's email as the sender. So someone who unfortunately has issues with the Gospel Mission decided that they would try to impersonate the town council and send emails to the Gospel Mission saying some pretty negative things. So I just wanted everyone in town to know that it is not the council that sent those. The Gospel Mission is aware of that, and if anybody else receives emails that seem a little bit suspect, the best thing to do is to call City Hall, leave us a voicemail, and we'll get back to you and let you know exactly when it happened, but if we sent them or if we did not. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Rigg?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to say Happy New Year to everybody, and hopefully this will be a better year than in previous years. We have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Also, good luck to all the mayor candidates, and I hope, and I'm sure it will happen, that they will be respectful of one another's comments. I received a letter here, and I took it down to City Hall about cover and secure your trash going down to the dump. It's a good letter, and I also was asked to see if it's possible if the Southwest Solid Association would be able to turn in some people's license numbers, because I understand that it's supposed to be covered, correct? When they take the trash down to the dump?
Yes, the policy requires that they are covered. The board has reviewed a bunch of different options to try to encourage the covering of the roads, but we have issues with things like, if we're too stringent, people are just going to turn around, take it up the street and dump it next to and so it encourages illegal dumping. Second is, we don't want to put the employees of the authority in a situation where they become police officers and have to enforce anything like that. So the board has chosen to leave it in the hands of the police departments, who should be issuing citations and looking out for that. So, I can pass it on to our chief, and I can talk to Charlene and ask them that they do some stricter enforcement of uncovered loads. But the authority board has chosen to keep the staff down there actually doing their job rather than doing something that isn't really what they should be doing.
Also, another thing that I would like to mention, that since we're going to have all the representatives and senators and all that up there in Santa Fe here pretty soon, I would like to see if one of them, or maybe a couple of them, can make some sort of language to propose to let's help the elderly people. And by that I mean, there's a lot of elderly people that cannot make ends meet, especially for food. Why can we not, the state of New Mexico, give some food assistance to the elderly people? If they have some, let's give them some more. If people from younger people can get them, maybe people that go to college, I don't know, why cannot the elderly people? I think the elderly people need the help more than the younger people. The elderly people have already put in their time. Let's help them. And hopefully that somebody, one of our representatives or legislators or senators, can put some sort of language up in Santa Fe. The elderly people need the help. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilwoman Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So January is a time for reflection, and one of the things that I've done in the past few weeks is gone through all of the emails and notes that I've made in my past 2 years as a counselor, and made a kind of a list of the intriguing questions and issues that I have gotten from citizens, the smart citizens of Silver City. And continuing the program of Conversations with a Counselor, on Wednesday, January 20th, 2016, at the university in the 3rd floor, I'll have Conversations with a Counselor, and I'm going to be reviewing those questions and issues that people have brought up, because I think that sharing that information would be really useful. Some of them were really, really good. And I've termed this, What's the Law? Who are you going to call? So I really encourage folks to come and talk with me, have a conversation, because informed citizenry and respectful conversation is really dear to my heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Edison?
Thank you, Mayor. I wish everyone a Happy New Year, and I look forward to what 2016 brings as well. Coming down the pike fairly soon here at the end of the month, and then at the beginning, we have a series of events in Santa Fe where the Municipal Day will be held, and then following that, we'll be up in Santa Fe as a unit. The folks of the Grant County Prospectors and other folks that are requesting funds will be up working with our legislators, our local ones, and also the leadership of the House and of the Senate to make sure that Grant County is in the picture and receives funding. The Prospectors holds this annually. It's always been a really great event, and we've been successful in bringing sums of money back to Grant County, to Silver City, to the municipalities, and I think this year will be equally good. I'm just hoping that there'll be funds available given how much the overall state revenues have decreased due to the oil and gas, in particular oil. So we'll see what is in store for us. There's a lot on the docket this year, mainly because it's really all about, at this point, funding. It's always about money for the 30-day session. So it'll come quickly, it'll go through quickly, and hopefully at the end, folks in Grant County and the various municipalities will have some funds coming to assist with everything that we do to serve you, the public. So I also wanted to mention that over the weekend, we celebrated our first year anniversary of having the plastic bag ordinance in effect. And one of the things that I noticed when I was out in California, I had all my wonderful cloth bags filled with Christmas presents and all sorts of other things that I was taking back and forth between California and New Mexico. And when I went in to buy, let's just say Christmas dinner food and a lot of other things that we were doing with 2 sets of our family there in California, it costed me 10 cents a bag because my bags were completely full of other things. So just know that I'd really like to see more and more folks bringing in their cloth bags. One of my little simple reminders is if I use the cloth bag, when I take everything out, I put the cloth bag over my doorknob, so that when I'm on my way out, wherever I happen to go, the cloth bag comes off and it goes in the front seat. So I would just suggest that folks look at doing that. I know many people do have cloth bags and do forget them, or any other sort of, even bringing back the plastic bags, just try to remember to do that. And if you put it in your front seat, if no one's sitting there, or even in the wheel well, if someone is sitting there, you'll remember to take them in. So let's hope that continues to move forward, because we've really done a great job of keeping the bags from flying around. I think it's been very good. It's been very good for the Southwest Solid Waste Authority and with the re-permitting and everything. So, and saving the citizens. I also just want to remind everyone that, yes, the ordinance of the single-point tethering, no single-point tethering of dogs, is in effect. If you see an animal within the city limits that is single-point tethered, please do stand up and call animal control, the police call Central Dispatch. They'll dispatch animal control or an officer to take care of it. You can tell me, but it's better. I mean, I'm not a witness to it. So I would really recommend, I've had a lot of phone calls. We really need you, the witness, to come forward and to make the report so that the officers and the animal control officer can go to the location mentioned, because I'm not everywhere in town, and the other council members aren't either, and witnesses is what we need. Effective, also, I've just forgotten the term, enforcement of an ordinance depends on the citizenry. So I encourage you to please do that. Once again, Happy New Year. Thanks again, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor. Well, looking at this nice small agenda, I don't want to ruin a good thing, so I'll just comment with Happy New Year to everybody. I'm real excited about what 2016 has in store for us. I'm glad we'll be hearing a report from the Main Street project, and knowing that we're going to have a theater in downtown. I've always spoken to the point that not having a theater for a couple years in Silver City, in a town that's had theaters for a century, it's kind of disheartening, and I'm really glad about the work that they're doing, and hope to hear about that. And with that, I'll ask the council if anybody needs round two. Are you okay, Councilor Cano?
Yes, I'm fine, no comment.
Councilor Ray?
Thank you, Mayor. I've seen in a few instances where the Silver City Police Department has been having two people in a vehicle. Thank you for doing that, and hopefully that you can do it every once in a while. It'll show improvement for safety measures for the people. Thank you.
Anybody else need round two? Moving on, next item on the agenda is changes to the agenda. Any changes? Approval of minutes. Councilor Raymond Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll move to approve the minutes of the regular council meeting of the Town of Silver City of December 8th, 2015.
Councilor Bexler?
I second the motion as stated.
We have a motion, a second, to approve the the minutes of the regular meeting of the Town of Silver City, December 8th, 2015. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is reports. Silver City Main Street.
Good evening, Mayor, Town Council, and the community. I'm Lucy Whitmarsh. I'm the Executive Director of the Silver City Main Street, and we send every quarter a report to the New Mexico Main Street of the activity in the Main Street District, and the focus is on economic development. And so I highlighted for you the report that went in for October to December of 2015, and in it we report changes to the businesses, and we did have 2 new businesses added. We did not have any businesses closed during the quarter. There was private building improvements of $10,000 and public improvements of $26,550. That information is taken from the building permits. Then we did have awards in the district from the local Economic Development Act funding. Little Toad Creek was awarded $100,000 for expansion for their business. And then also the Silver City Main Street was awarded $15,000 from PNM to help with finishing up the work on the SoCo Theater. And our volunteers, just for Main Street, contributed 244 hours of volunteer service during the quarter. Our major event was the Lighted Christmas Parade, which was on November 28th. And we do that in conjunction with Shop Local initiative, and also as a part of our Shop Local is a Main Street gift certificate program, which has been very successful. And we do a launch of that every year in conjunction with the holiday shopping and giving. And so we participated in that and coordinated that, but especially with the Lighted Christmas Parade, without the tremendous support that we received from the town as far as the police department, the public works department, and the community in general that participate and come to the parade, we could not do this without all the support that we get from the town. And I really, really want to thank the town and the community for their help and support and participation with this. And then I did also just want to mention a couple of things that we're working on that are more long-term projects. We're doing business visitations, and we're visiting with all of the businesses in the district. And from that, we're developing programs. and because we want to try to meet the needs of the people in the business community. And so, as a result of what we've found so far, we have decided that we requested services from New Mexico Main Street to assist us with developing a comprehensive downtown marketing plan to market downtown Silver City as a destination. And we want to emphasize that we have 80 hotel rooms in the district, and that it's a very walkable location where people can come and stay and eat at the restaurants and enjoy the entertainment that we have there. So we're working on developing that. And also, Silver City Main Street is trying to coordinate efforts that people have to have, like, to have small conferences in the downtown, and looking at it as a total destination with the hotel rooms and the restaurants and the entertainment and the facilities that we have to rent for meetings. And so we're trying to work on coordinating that also, which are both long-term projects. And speaking of another long-term project, is the Silco Theater, which Mayor Moronis mentioned. And actually, Main Street has been working on the project to develop the Silco Theater actually since 2006. And then we closed for renovations in January of 2014, and we currently do have a construction contract that we're trying to get finished up with, and we did have some setbacks last week because of the weather with deliveries, so we're running a little bit behind what we had expected, but we think that we're getting really close. And also, Main Street has selected an operator for the Silco Theater, and so we invited Chris Aquino and Mary Dearhart to come to the meeting this evening so that we could introduce them to you. So I'd like them to come up.
Happy New Year, and I want to say what a great honor this is for Mary and I to be operating the Silco Theater. They have enough trust in us that we can do the job. I really thank the Town Council, Silver City Main Street, New Mexico Main Street, P&M, all the people that have contributed to this to make it happen. We're that close to making it happen. So, again, thank you all for confidence in us. You're welcome.
I don't have much to say except that if you get a chance, peek in, because it's really looking good in there.
Is there any questions for Lucy?
No, sir.
Very quickly, just for the public's public information, this is one of our few public-private partnerships that we have, and this stems from the State of New Mexico Economic Department, who I think found through tons of research that these public-private partnerships are just a huge benefit to communities. And it was just a little over 30 years ago that the state created the State Main Street Project, and darn near a decade ago, it seemed like it created the Arts and Cultural District. And Silver City, as a community, on the public side, or on the private side, I should say, created the nonprofits and became part of those programs so that we could partner. And I would just say, from what I have seen, from what I've read, and from what I've gathered over the last decade and a half in my work, is the return on our investment is wonderful. Very few things that the town does has a return on investment like our public-private partnerships with Main Street and the Arts and Cultural District. So thank you. And as part of those partnerships, of course, we have professional service contracts with these entities. It's one of the reasons why, as part of that contract, is why Lucy's up here letting us know what they're doing with our money, what they're doing with our community's money. Thank you.
And thank you very much, and thank you for your support.
Councilor Bedison.
I just wanted to, because the mayor touched on something, that the return on investment, because I recently was writing a grant using this information, the American Alliance of Museums did a study, and the return on investment when it's a public-private partnership is $7 to every dollar of the public-private partnership. So they recommend highly public-private partnerships, so that's why this one is really going to be really quite wonderful, because that's a significant ROI, that more than most returns on investment, but it's been established study, so it's very, very exciting that it'll be open soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Staff reports. Mr. Brown.
Council, I do have a couple of reports. First, an update on the 180 bridge. It looks like it won't be open till the end of January, early February, and their main setback has been the weather and the cold temperatures. They cannot pave because they need to pave the 2 lanes that they're going to open to let the public use the bridge for the meantime, unless the temperatures are averaging 40 degrees. And so we just, of course, we haven't been seeing that. And so until that changes, that's going to be the limiting factor on opening the bridge. Second, as many people have seen, the lights at the intersection of 14th and Silver Heights are out. There was one of the street lights, signal lights, was hit and pushed, tilted over, and so we had to take the lights out. So that light out anyway, and do a 4-way stop until we have an engineer working on a fix for it. Hopefully by early next week I'll know exactly how long it's going to take to get it fixed, because maintenance is basically the town's once they do install that infrastructure. So we are working on it, and as soon as I find out, I'll let you and the papers know, so people know how long that intersection will be a 4-way stop. It's sad because that's the bypass, so it's frustrating. So everybody at that intersection, please be patient and follow the traffic rules, because the police will be out there watching, because we've been getting quite a few complaints about people not stopping. And remember, the person to your left has the right of way when you get there at the same time. So to your right. Well, you remember I got it backwards. I'm always raising my left hand, so it's to the right. So, and the last thing is that there's been some flyers being passed out to the public about the radio read water meters, and I wanted to clear a few things up. First of all, the meters are being placed on city right away, so we will not be trespassing. They're being placed on city property, first of all. Second, there's information in that flyer, which is one of those continuing issues that we've been facing with the situation. This misinformation, there is no opt-out option to the system. So we are going to put meters in it where we have water meters right now everywhere. So I just wanted to let the papers know, so if you can please let that out there with those flyers that don't have a name on them, and just putting misinformation into the public's hands. I wanted to clear that up for everybody. And with that, do you have any questions?
Is there any questions? Councilor Kano, do you have any questions for Mr. Brown?
No, sir.
Any questions from the council? Councilor Amos Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Brown, could you perhaps ask the chief if he would elucidate on the traffic rules when you have a lot of people coming to a four-way? Because it's not just 4 people. It can be up to like 10, actually, with the left-hand turn. Thank you, sir.
Mayor, City Council, Happy New Year. Hope this is going to be a great year. We had a pretty good year last year. Hopefully we move forward with initiatives and programs. Just as a side note, real quick, I will be presenting the year-end stats for 2015 at the next scheduled council meeting. As for traffic flow at that intersection, it's horrendous right at this point, simply because it's a 4-way stop at the main artery for the town of Silver City, both going 180 west, downtown, 14th Street. Having said that, it's the obligation of the motorists that when they approach a 4-way stop sign that they have to make a complete stop at that intersection. If they're in the vehicle behind a vehicle that's stopped at that, and that front vehicle proceeds into the intersection, that vehicle behind still has to make a stop at that stop sign. I went through the intersection, and people need to cooperate when they're at that specifically this intersection, because it's so wide and so bad, and it's got 4 lanes approaching in all directions. People need to communicate with each other. Make sure you make a stop. Make sure that the intersection is clear when you proceed into the intersection. When it's your turn, correct, it's the person on the right that has right-of-way at the time. If we have 8 vehicles sitting at that intersection at the same time, everybody's on the right-hand side. Communicate with each other so that we don't have any crashes in this intersection. Any question? Thank you.
Any other staff reports? Ms. Mackey? Mrs. Mackey?
Yes, Mayor and Council, I would just like to give out some election information. Our next election's March 1st, 2016, a Tuesday, and our certified candidates for mayor are Cynthia Ann Beddison, Ken Ladner, and Mark Donnell. Our certified candidate for District 2 Councilor is Linda D. Amon Smith, and our certified candidate for District 4 Councilor is Guadalupe E. Cano. Today, we had no write-in candidates, so those are the candidates. It's final now. And persons that are interested in voting, and I hope all of our registered voters are interested in voting, but if they've had any name changes, address changes, or if it's someone who just moved to town and needs to register, there is a deadline to register. It's February 2nd at the county clerk's office. At 5 p.m. is the deadline in order to vote in our election that's coming up. Absentee voting at City Hall begins on January 26th, and early voting on the Dominion vote tabulator machine starts on February 10th and lasts through February 26th. That's the final day for early voting and absentee voting. And if anybody has any questions about elections, I'm available at City Hall. My number is 534-6346. And do any of you have questions for me?
Do you have a question, Councilor Connor?
No, sir.
Anybody else? Thank you. I'll also point out we have all 3 mayoral candidates present. Councilor Beddison, Ken Lander, and Dr. Donnell are all present here. So thank you, gentlemen, for showing up and seeing what we do. Any other staff reports? Moving on to new business. The only item under new business, approval, disapproval of resolution number 2016-01, open meetings. I'll just briefly open up, this is us complying with the Open Meetings Act at the state level. Sometimes, some people regard it as the sunshine laws, because it sheds light on what your government's doing, which is, I think, very important, especially at these municipal and county levels. I wish the state would conduct themselves similarly. But also another way of looking at it is we're not allowed to do business in the dark behind closed rooms, in those back alley type scenarios that a lot of people talked about. The Open Meetings Act is basically allowing the electorate to be educated on what's going on. And by educated, they get to listen to their representatives, the elected government, so that they're educated for the next election cycle and can choose who they want to vote for or not. Very, very important law. And with that, I'll allow Mr. Brown, do you have anything else to add or to discuss in this area? Anybody? Mrs. Etmacky?
As you stated, this resolution we do annually, and it is based on the New Mexico Open Meetings Act. Many of the paragraphs are taken right out of the booklet. We also add the places where we give notice. We have about 9 public buildings that we fax the agendas to, the legal notice to. We also post it on our website. The resolution also includes our meeting dates for 2016. Typically, it's always the 2nd and 4th Tuesday of each month. And the resolution includes information on how we conduct special meetings, emergency meetings, other board and committee meetings, and the closed meetings. And I'm asking for your approval of this resolution, please.
Is there any questions for Ms. Mackey?
I have one comment.
Councilor Amos Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As Ms. Mackey just noted, all of the town committees, boards, and advisory groups are also bound through this resolution, if it is passed, to abide by the Open Meeting Act.
Councilor Bedison?
Thank you, Mayor. Before making the motion, I just wanted to call folks' attention to the fact that one of the things that the town clerk does, which is excellent, and I think it was suggested by a former mayor, is that on the back of our agenda, it lists the reasons why the council may call an executive session at any time during the meeting upon a vote of the council. So I just wanted everyone to know that it's always available on the back of the agenda if they ever want to know what are the different options that the town has for closing and going into executive session. And of course, it takes a vote in the affirmative of the majority of the legislative body, which are the council members. And then it also needs to come back into open session and to acknowledge the fact that we haven't made any decision. We only discussed what was pursuant to what we went into the session for. That also takes a vote as well. So we're very careful to make sure that we follow it to a T. We want to make sure that the public is well aware of what we're doing when they're permitted to know what we're doing, with the exception, the only time you're not permitted is during executive session. So there's no notes taken or anything like that. So I just wanted to mention that. And with that, I move to approve resolution number 2016-01, open meetings.
Councilor Amos Smith?
Mr. Mayor, I second the motion as stated.
We have a motion and second as read into the record. Is there any further discussion?
Yes, sir.
Would the public like to comment on this? Mr. Darnell, Dr. Darnell?
Mayor Moronis and members of the town council, I read this for the first time when I was reviewing what was coming up for the meeting today. And it's an excellent overview of how you function, with one major exception. In Section 8, under closed meetings, it goes into detail as to how you begin an executive session by a majority vote of the town council members. Unfortunately, it does not mention how you get out of an executive session. That could, in theory, be done by the mayor saying the executive session has ended, or it could be a majority vote or a majority agreement of the members of the town council. It also does not say how you reopen the meeting if you do so. An executive session could occur at the end and you might not reopen the meeting, or it might occur in the middle of the meeting and then need reopening. I'm not recommending that you don't approve this resolution, but I would recommend that you fill in these missing pieces of information at a future time so it better describes how you actually operate. Thank you.
Councilor Benson?
I would just note that we are required to go back into open session in order to adjourn the meeting. We never leave executive session without a vote to go back into open session. We cannot adjourn the meeting otherwise. It cannot be done. No decision can be made, even to adjourn a meeting in executive session. So, and I do know that it does state in 8D that it will state on the minutes, in other areas, it does state that in the minutes, it will state, as it has in the past and will continue to do so, is that the minutes specifically say when it was closed, why it was closed, and then when we came back out of session, we note the time. And when we go back into, it may not be as exact as this in what is in the content of the resolution, but that is the procedure, because otherwise we're not following the intent of the Open Meetings Act. So we're very careful to make sure that we note the time and who voted which way to reopen the meeting into public session and to then adjourn, which is something that we can. So, thank you, Mayor.
Any other comments or questions? I would just...
Actually, yes, I have one, Mayor.
Yes, Councilor Kano.
I just wanted to mention that several times the Municipal League has offered training in Silver City on the Open Meetings Act. I know the last time that the General Counsel, Randy Narblett, did his presentation, it was recorded by CAC. So I would recommend that maybe Dr. Donald and Dr. Bradner might want to get a copy of that CD and watch it, just to familiarize themselves with how the Municipal League and Municipal Open Meetings Act works, because it is a fairly different, there are some differences between such as hospital boards and things like that, and how municipalities use the act. So I know that that's available through the CAC archives, so they may just want to talk to Ben about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Kano. That is very informative. Yeah, because there is definitely the practical side of it. If we don't come out of an executive session and formally reopen the meeting, then we cannot adjourn, which means if we were just to come out of executive meeting and we have at midnight, if we were just to leave, we would officially be in a meeting until close, and still in closed session until we get back out. So there are some of those issues. Dr. Donnell.
Mr. Mayor, just one more comment.
Please, for Councilor Kano's benefit.
Oh, very good.
Just one more comment. As is mentioned in this resolution, you can have an executive session outside of a city council meeting if you announce it ahead of time and the rest of it. So in theory, you could close an open meeting and then hold an executive session. So I would just make it clearer in the description of the process as to what you're actually doing.
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
Somebody questions?
Is there any other clarifications from staff?
I just wanted to
I guess, restate what Councilor Bedison said, that in the paragraph, it says that particular statement is in the minutes, and the only way it can be in the minutes is if you actually did it. So I know when you come out of executive session, the mayor does come out and say, no matters were discussed that weren't in the motion, or something to that effect. That's part of the paragraph. And then he asks for a roll call vote. So each of you do vote confirming that nothing was discussed other than what was made in the motion. And then you have the opportunity to go back into the open meeting and do the rest of your business on the agenda, or in most cases, it's already at the end of the meeting and you have the opportunity to adjourn. And that's typically what's done. But I just wanted to say, if it was in the minutes, it means it was done.
I would agree with that. There's always, in government especially, just like in my professional world, in business in general and everything else, there's always room for clarity and improvement. So we ought to keep that in the back of our minds and always see where we can improve. So I appreciate the comments and always appreciate any opportunities for improvement and betterment of our community. And if there's no further discussion, we have a motion, a second, as read into the record. Roll call.
Councilor Bedison? Aye. Councilor Amos Smith?
Aye.
Councilor Kano?
Aye.
Councilor Ray?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Bedison.
I move to adjourn.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.